Did you know that it only took 3 days to build the Great Pyramid, and it was built from the top down? I know that sounds crazy, but let me take you 14,000 years back, just around the fall of Atlantis. Due to the precession of the equinoxes, Earth was falling into a Kali Yuga, or Dark Age. The Ascended Masters knew that humanity would pass through an electromagnetic null zone, called the Void. Since we didn't have any functioning Merkabas at the time, our level of consciousness would collapse and humanity would have to start from scratch. 3 ascended beings by the name of Thoth, Ra, and Ararat came up with a plan. They had to act fast because they knew that if humanity didn't reach this certain state of consciousness in less than 13,000 years, we would all die out. Consciousness of every species is stored in electromagnetic grids that surround Earth. Our goal is to transition to the Unity Grid. So Thoth, Ra, and Ararat decided to use a method called geomancy to artificially recreate the Unity Grid around Earth. We knew that this location in Egypt was to be the prime meridian of the new grid. Thoth explained in the Emerald Tablets that he built the pyramid on the higher dimensions and from the top down. When the Egyptian government checked this out, they found out that the oldest bricks were on the top and the youngest on the bottom. They also designed 83,000 sacred structures that would be built by humans over the course of 13,000 years. It gets a lot deeper, so stay tuned.
We are about to hear from official sources that architecture has been located in Antarctica that will confirm there was in fact intelligently built ruins down there. And that would be a world-changing thing of significance. And if we do get the disclosure that we're being promised, this is going to become an open, public, acknowledged thing that there are in fact stone monuments under the ice in Antarctica that are very ancient. Everything that we thought we knew about human history has to be rewritten.
If you follow Joe Rogan and you follow Elon Musk, this is for you. Okay, so 2 years ago they had an interview together and they just spoke casual like you and I are now. Eye contact, no delayed speech, everything's just regular. But now fast forward to the most recent interview, while they're talking about Neuralink, mind you, Elon Musk seems to, every time he discusses something, he turns his head, his eyes go back and forth like his brain's researching an answer for what he has to say, then he'll turn back and look at him and then speak like he's a robot, like he has Neuralink. I know that Elon says that only the pig has Neuralink right now, and that's how far the experiment has gone, but I think that he has tricked himself to experiment whether it works or not, because who better to test your experiment on than yourself? So how far-fetched is it to think that he already did Neuralink to himself? But I'm really interested to see if you guys can notice and spot the difference. So go ahead, check out his interview from 2 years ago and then compare it to the most recent and let me know.
Strange things the Sumerians knew about Part 1. They literally knew about a great flood that happened 6,000 years before them, which doesn't make any sense at all. Scientists just recently found evidence for the great flood that happened 12,000 years ago, yet the Sumerians somehow already knew about it. They also somehow knew about the Earth's 26,000 year cycle, which means they literally knew that the Earth tilted 1% every 72 years, which means they knew about the Earth's specific tilt and precision. They also weirdly knew about all the planets in our solar system, even depicting an extra planet they called Nibiru, which the beings that supposedly gave them their knowledge were from. It's also strange to note that all their architecture was in sacred geometrical patterns. They even had specific landing pads for the aircraft of the Anunnaki, which are known as whirlwinds, but I'll talk about this in another video. All the stuff we know about comes from the Sumerian tablets, which are literally sitting at the basements of museums. Supposedly the US government bought for $3 million during the Iraq War, just for them to collect dust.
Oh my god! Okay, you know how everybody thinks that Michael Jackson is still alive? And then there was that one girl who made that video saying that she thinks she saw Princess Diana at this country club she works at. And then a bunch of people think that Elvis Presley is still alive. They're all connected and they ran away together! I didn't even ask to find this. This information found me. This random YouTube video got recommended to me today, and it was a news report after Michael's death that said that Michael's bodyguard said he thought that Michael was in love with Princess Diana because he would stay on the phone late at night with her for hours, and she was the only person who understood his struggle with the media and how he could never go into public. Michael Jackson dated Elvis Presley's daughter, so we already know that he has a connection. Diana loved Elvis so much that she had a dress designed after his style and calls it the Elvis dress. Elvis passed away August 16th, 1977. Diana passed away in the same month, August 31st, 1997, 20 years later. Michael was born in August, but passed away on this day. Like for part 2.
So this girl recently posted a video saying that when we were in 2020 last year, we were technically in a different dimension.
So the ball was a minute late dropping because we were switching back into our normal dimension.
And that's why, like you just heard, the ball was late dropping. And now there is some more things coming up that back this up. If you ask Siri, how many days until 2021?
It's 359 days until then.
Which makes no sense because 2021 was 6 days ago. But now if you type it on Google, how many days until 2021? It says 3 hours and 24 minutes. Also, if you use this Christmas countdown, it says Christmas is in 53 days. So how is time so screwed up right now?
You guys, I think that Howie Mandel is being held captive. This might sound crazy, but in a recent TikTok video, Howie Mandel took out a random paper bag and labeled it shoe stuff, essentially making a DIY project. But this video is full of secret messages. Just in case he is actually being held captive, please signal boost his video, comment, follow, do whatever you can. You can see in this video that he's wearing a lifeguard hoodie, and on that hoodie, it gives away where he lives, Santa Monica. But also in this video, he points to the letters SOS in a triangle. Just look at this clip.
And can you see it? It says shoe stuff.
If you didn't know, the letters SOS is to signal that you are in extreme danger. Just in case you missed it, let me replay it for you.
And can you see it? It says shoe stuff.
If you really took a closer look at this video, you can also notice that the S's look like 5s. Look, 2 5s. And 2 5s make 55. And if you dial the number 55, it takes you directly to the police. It shows that you're being held captive or that there's an intruder in your house, and that you cannot talk. In part 2, he spells out the letter HELP.
What if I told you the world did end in 2012? Do not watch if you're easily paranoid. So back in 2012, if you remember, the world was supposed to end. Now obviously, it didn't end. But what if I told you it did? And we're living in a parallel universe. In 2012, scientists at CERN found the particle known as the Higgs boson. This is famously known as the God particle. Now this particle was the one that Stephen Hawking said would destroy the whole universe if found. And well, they found it, experimented with it, and then created a black hole leading us to a different timeline. I think since 2012, me and you can agree the world has been a pretty odd place. For example, all the Mandela effects that have been happening. Like Curious George not having a tail, yet he's a monkey. But that's not the only proof. Another famous scientist, known as Terence McKenna, said the world wouldn't end in 2012, but a mass change of reality would take place.
Said that they were guarding the entrance to the inner earth. And they said it would take maybe a couple of weeks to finally get down far enough where they would meet the inhabitants, and they were just these gigantic people, anywhere between 10 and 11 and a half feet tall. So, of course, the common idea is that, oh, this is just a bunch of mythology by a primitive people. But what's interesting is they talked about how when they got far enough down, one of the things they saw was basically molten rock. And that's exactly what modern science tells us you should find underneath the earth. And how would a primitive people know that? There are also areas where there's all this lush plants and food and the people living down there. Can we take that seriously? We're left with this very interesting myth that has a few intriguing elements to it. It's worth a look if we can get down there.